everyone. Welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. On this episode, delighted to be talking about zombies, the end of the world, all sorts of wonderful, fun things, plus hot sauce with author, creator Laurie Calcaterra. Laurie, thank you for joining a second time.
Yes, I'm going to work my way up to friend of show. That's the goal. So
I like it. I like it. Absolutely. I
thank
need
you
to
for
create a
having
new
me.
category. Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
Yeah. I think there needs to be a jacket. There needs to be some kind of like an SNL
Ooh,
reference in there somewhere. We're almost at the 50th anniversary of SNL. So,
yeah.
yeah, friend of the show. I like that.
Yeah, have like a iron-on badge or something you could send to people. We'll show it off
Absolutely.
with pride.
That's right. That's right.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, you, of course, are known for Path of the Pale Rider, which the path continues. Is that too
Path
on the
continues,
nose? Yeah.
whether you want it to or not.
And apparently people do. You said that
Well,
it's taken
yeah.
off fairly well so far.
Yes. We
Yeah.
funded in 25 hours. And
Yeah.
now our goal is a little bit higher than most. Sometimes creators will lower their, I know at Kickstarter, it's like this has been a debate between us creators because the lower the goal, the quicker you get funded. But
Hmm.
if your goal is 200 bucks, are you really able to complete a project, pay an
Yeah.
artist and print and ship when you just need, like, why do you need $200? At that point, just go ask your friend, right? Go borrow
Right.
some
Right.
money. And
Sell some
so
plasma or something like that.
yeah, go donate something, a kidney. You'll get plenty of money.
Oh yeah.
Um, so where do you make that dollar amount? Do you make it accurate to what you actually need? Do you make it a little bit lower so you still get funded quicker? So when we ran our first campaign in 2022, our goal was 4,550. And
Hmm.
that represented what we needed to produce a black and white comic book. All the artist costs, the print charges, the shipping, the merch, all of it. Well, obviously we're not producing black and white comics anymore. And
Hmm.
so even though we hit our goal, we still need a little bit more just to take it up to the standard we are now. But I leave it there so I also, I don't know, I'm a numbers nerd. I like Excel. So I'm always typing in like what our daily numbers are so I can compare
Yeah.
it to what we did last time and the time before, and we can see our progress. So it is what it is, but you'll see a lot of creators that'll run for like 1,500, and usually that's the artist that's running the campaign, and they're not
Hmm.
paying themselves for art fees. So that's the print job. The print job itself
Ah.
is 1,500 bucks typically, depending on how many books you order. And so that's kind of like the little peek behind the screen of why different campaigns have different target goals. And if they're
Huh.
super low, they're just trying to hit that number quick for bragging rights. We funded in an hour. It's like, but did you? But
Nice.
even that being said, we hit our number in 25 hours, so just over one day, and we were over 4,550, which is
And
incredible.
I was gonna say that ain't bad. That ain't bad at
No,
all.
it's
That's amazing.
that's the fastest it's gone so far. So I'm very happy. Um, we still got some work to do as always, and we're breaking stretch goals at this point, which is a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Which means, the higher we go, the more merch and the more swag shows up in your box when you get it.
Very nice, very nice. Well, curious for listeners out there that maybe aren't as familiar with the book, let's say something for the
Oh, yes.
uninitiated. Anything that you'd like to mention in case someone's hopped on here and they're kind of like, what is this thing? This
What?
path of the what now?
Path of the Who now? Yes. All
Exactly.
right. So, Path of the Pale Rider. If you like things like Fallout, Book of Eli, spaghetti westerns, and a sprinkle of Cocaine Bear,
Hmm. Hmm.
that's kind of the boxes we check. It's a comic book series. It's a Western apocalypse where death has been broken. So it's different. Okay, we say zombies, but everybody thinks of the George Romero zombies. You know what I mean? Like the
Hmm.
Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead. This is different. I don't know if it's been done before, honestly. I don't think so, but you never know. There could be some like-minded person out there. So what I did, is I broke death.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
in the story, your body can die, but your soul, your energy that, runs your flesh machine, it doesn't leave. So you are stuck in your body as it decays. Your brain rots, you lose your memories, you could become violent or detached or vegetative. It hits everybody differently. And so you're yourself, but with dementia and fast forward, and you stink because you're rotting. And did
Yeah.
I mention it's people, animals, insects, fish? Death is broken. So if you start talking through that world, it gets very chaotic very fast. What do you
Hmm.
eat when animals are also still animated? You know,
Yeah.
where do people go? We have overpopulation. We have this growing population of chaotic people that we don't know how they're going to react on any given day because they might be themselves one day and then violent the next day. I don't know if anybody have you had an experience with a family member with dementia?
Just the tiniest bit, not really
Yeah.
anybody close. Yeah.
I have. It's frightening.
Yeah.
It is. It's devastating to see your family member forget you
Hmm.
or go through this change where it's like that's grandma, but like swear words and everything coming out. It's like that's not even the person you love anymore, and it's a
Right.
slow change. So maybe one day it's not there, but the next day it is. So this is the world that our protagonist is going through, and we start you 10 years into that
Hmm.
apocalypse. So things have devolved back to the Wild West. So future Wild West.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty rough place. Right in issue one, he encounters a zombie named Big
Hmm.
James, which is everybody's favorite.
Yes.
Um, he is like the unofficial mascot of our series, I think. I think
There's Big James merch. Am I right about
there
that?
is a ton of Big James merch. And I feel like every time I poll the audience, I'm like, all right, who wants, what else are you looking for? Do you want mugs? Do you want pens? Do you want, what are you looking for? And one of the categories I put down there was like, I don't care what it is as long as it's Big James. And everybody checked that one. I was like, okay. But now we have an undead puppy named Sad Pancake. So I feel like there's going to be Sad Pancake merchandise coming in the near future as well.
Yes. Yes.
People have received him pretty well. And he was an accident. So
Yeah.
that's what happens.
That's right. That's right. I know in our first chat we drove into some of the creative origins, some of the place that this came from. I'm curious about what you're most excited that you're able to do as a continuing series. What's that like, and what are you most excited about uncovering
Oh my gosh. Okay. So,
that you can say?
yeah, well, it's
Hmm.
next issue, right? So, I've been talking about this for a while. So, if you guys have heard me talk about Path of the Pill Rider on any podcast, I usually talk about issue number 7.
Hmm.
And we're
Hmm.
so close. And I've been talking about it since we like launched issue 1. And it's incredible to be on this journey and to come back. And every issue, it deepens the story. There's cliffhangers, there's big twists, there's lots of crazy action, but nothing tops 7. 7 is the one, shall we
Yeah.
say. And so to be doing number 6, I get super excited because I'm like, this is a great issue. But wait
Hmm.
until you see what we're setting up for. Like we're setting up the big moment of this arc of 12. There's 1 through 6, there is number 7, and then there is everything after that. Everything changes after the next issue. So it's like this is the perfect time to get involved with Path of the Pill Rider because you get to binge read 1 through 6 if you
Hmm.
haven't found us before, and then you're set up for what we're going to do to you in issue number 7. Oh, it's good.
I
It's
like the way
good.
you put that. What we're gonna do to you.
I have a mug that sits by my desk that
Yes,
says the tears of my readers.
that's right. That's right. The
So
the
I
Kurt Vonnegut advice right there.
yeah, I drink your tears. So be prepared. Don't be attached to anybody. All the characters can go because they can still be in the story, right?
Yeah.
So even Jude St. Clair could go and still continue the story because he's undead and he can think for a while. So that would be a challenge for him if he was undead and still trying to figure out what broke death. I'm
Mhm.
not saying that happens.
But it
I'm not
could.
gonna say that happens, but it could.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen, and does most of the time.
So you subscribe to the idea of creating characters that people care about and then
Yes.
potentially letting terrible things happen to them
The
because that's
world is a
storytelling.
pretty terrible place, man.
Yeah.
It's
I've been on Facebook. I know. I
yeah, yeah.
know.
The real life, yes. And then
Yes.
the book, um, I try to be true to humanity as I can. So yeah, we have fantastical things because death is broken, right?
Mhm.
That's obviously not true. But the way that I write people reacting to that, I try to stay as true to humanity as I can. So it's like there's really good things, there's really terrible things. I point a spotlight at some of the really terrible things we can do to each other when we don't see each other's humanity anymore.
Mhm.
But I never tell you what's right and what's wrong. Um, because again, it's fiction. I'm not trying to stand on a soapbox about anything. It's fiction. They're not a real, group of people. But it's like if you think about it, I think everybody would come to it differently depending on their own experience. Whether, an undead ran over your dog or, it's your undead mom who is just at home knitting. You know what I mean? It's like, where's the danger in that? So you can see kind of both sides to the conflict that's going on. But where Jude is at now in the story, they just clash. Like they're done trying to work it out. The living and the dead are pretty much separate. And
Mhm.
the undead see it as, well, if I take away your heartbeat, you're now on my side, whether you want to be on our side or not. And so they're just going around ending people's heartbeats because that's what they do. So this is where Jude finds himself in this issue. He's pretty much been in danger since the first episode, the first issue. Like that's just the world as it is. There's always danger, but he is in big trouble. He's what is that? The Simpsons. Where's that meme where it's Ralphie riding on a bus and
Mhm.
he's like,
Mhm.
"I'm in danger." This is where we're at in the story. So,
I have a very cool group of high school students I'm working with right now. They were playing Fleetwood Mac today, of all things. Very
wow.
cool. Yeah, very cool kids. And we were talking about science fiction because that's the unit we're in and fantasy and
Yeah.
things like that. And just talking about, you invent the fantastic so that you can make some kind of comment on what's here. We're removed. There's something that's broken, there's something that's different, but people are still peopling.
Yeah, people are still peopling. I mean, there is a message to the story. Jude is just determined to figure out what happened, and by hell and high water, he's gonna figure it out. But he never loses his compassion, his ability to see humanity throughout the story. And so I think that's the overall message. There'll be more message coming, but he hasn't gotten far enough for me to talk about that message yet.
Yeah, yeah. Gotcha,
But
gotcha.
yeah, seeing people's humanity, I think, is so important. I mean, like we're living that right now. So, and I wrote this back in 2018, so it's weird. But
Timeless themes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It sounds like you had the end in mind when you started, at least parts of it.
Yes, I do have an ending in mind. Um, and I think, well, this is my opinion because everybody has a different writing process, but I feel that when a story has an ending in mind, even
Hmm.
from the beginning, that every issue takes us towards that ending instead of meandering around and looking at all the shiny things. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I want my comic to be surgical. I want it to be precise, and I want everything that happens to matter to the story. So that way, when we get to that ending, there's that emotional time, there's that payoff, there's just, everything ties together and wraps up nicely. I always
Hmm.
say it's a difference to me of like Breaking Bad versus Lost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I
mean,
get
like
that.
and TV shows are a different animal because a lot of times they don't get a say in when they end. So that, I think that's why a lot of times we get these weird endings because maybe they had another season in mind, but it's like, oh no, you're done this season. It's like, oh, now we got
Hmm.
to imagine, what we're going to do to wrap this up. But um, with storytelling, it's like we're planning to be here at the end. And
Hmm.
so what I'm doing is developing the story even from now to get to that ending.
The
Mhm.
well-oiled machine of storytelling.
Yes, agreed.
Now, I know that you, as we've alluded to, have very interesting campaign incentives. You're quite inventive. Your incentives
Yeah.
are inventive. So I know that we've talked about hot sauce. I know that we've talked
Yep.
about, I believe there was a suggestion of a stuffed animal at one point.
We did
Um,
that. We'll
hmm.
probably bring these back. Maybe it's just going to be a
Nice.
different design, but we did this with our trade paperback, which was issues 1 through 4. And so we'll probably do another plushie when we do 5, 6, 7, and 8 in the next trade paperback. But these plushies are getting popular. You see them a lot now,
Yeah,
thanks to
yeah.
Clarissa Grant.
Zombie bear to cuddle with right
I,
there.
people, I don't know. I have a fan of mine that will take the plushie with her, and she has kids, and so they go to like Texas State Fair, and there's Big James standing next to Big Tex.
Nice,
So they
nice.
take pictures like they've been to the car show, they go to Comic Cons, and so Big James gets to share his adventures with us in the Facebook group. It's amazing.
Love it, love it.
Yeah.
What is coming up incentive wise on the current campaign?
Well, I'm going to tell you guys about a couple of them that I'm going to continue. And
Hmm.
so in issue number 7, you'll see these come back because we're already halfway through campaign as we're recording. And so
Hmm.
some of these things are already gone, but that doesn't mean that you won't have opportunity to do this in the future. And so I do a plethora of things. So
Hmm.
the comic book is one thing. I'm a foodie, so hence the hot sauce. And I do make the hot sauce myself. Um, Currently, we have 3 flavors that are a staple. So we have ghost pepper, barbecue, mango habanero, and jalapeno serrano. And you can get like a sampler pack with those 3. I did introduce a new flavor on this campaign, which was it's called Jack's Revenge. And so let me back up. So we do this stretch goal every campaign called the slice and dice. And
Uh-huh.
so we get a fruit or vegetable like a watermelon, let's say, and then the fandom gets to name the watermelon and then they get to vote on a weapon of destruction. And then I dress up as Pikachu on my podcast every Tuesday. It's called the Tuesday Morning Brew. And I destroy the watermelon with the weapon of your choice. So we did that last campaign, and I murdered a jackfruit, which was named Jack the Ripper.
Hmm.
I made him into hot sauce. So that's what was
Nice.
on the campaign. There was only 6 bottles because, again, I chopped this thing to bits. This is what was left. But it was so delicious, and I wasn't gonna make this flavor again because it's labor intensive. The jackfruits are the size of a watermelon, and you gotta take. It took me 2 hours to take
Ah,
this thing apart
oh,
before
wow.
you even start turning it into hot sauce. It's labor intensive. So I was like, I'm only gonna do it the one time, and then I had some, and it's so good. I was like, oh, maybe I can be convinced. So I might bring it back for Kickstarter campaigns, but I don't know how often I'm going to make this. But so those 6 bottles are gone. I rebind books. So
Nice.
I put a single rebound book on the campaign, which is gone, unfortunately. And we are going to be rebinding Jurassic Park. I ripped off the cover,
Uh-huh.
and that's as far as I got because I've been doing so many promotional videos and running my kids to school and doing my own podcast. That's as far as I got. But one lucky backer is getting a copy that is made by myself. Um, I handcraft the cover, I design everything, I paint the edges, I put in bookmarks. It's quite a thing to
That's
see by
very
the end.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's gone, but I will be doing that next campaign as well. And then I make mugs. I'm I have a problem. So
You have many skills, is what I'm hearing.
I You do. I'm one of those people. I love this design.
Hmm.
I made one of these for myself in green. And I liked it so much, I figured other people would too. And so I go to this ceramic place with the stencil, and I'm going to do different colors and different style of the mugs, but they're never going to be the same. They're always going to be unique, and there's only going to be one. So again, how do you get your hands on these things because they're so exclusive? Is you got to come to the Kickstarter when we launch,
Hmm.
because in 15 minutes, this mug, that book, and all six of the hot sauces were gone.
Wow.
We still have a lot of amazing stuff on the campaign. We have Funko Pops of the characters, so we're going through the character roster. There's two left for Francis St. Clair, which is Jude's dad. If you've read issue 4, you know what happens to this man.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and then I have some amazing art to show you guys. Here, I'm going to share my screen.
Yes, by all means. We got really, really small. Look at us.
I know.
Wow.
I don't know how this is going to look on the recording. Um, Here is the Kickstarter, everybody. And if you know what I love, if you're not familiar with Kickstarter, they just added this feature. So over here on the left are all these words, and they're
Hmm.
actually different you can click on these and it'll take you to that section. So if you want to see the team, you can click down to meet the team and it goes right to where we are and you can see who's putting this thing together. But I just added these yesterday. And so there's sketch covers and now this isn't a print. This is an issue of Path of the Pale Rider that Gilbert Perez has hand drawn in
Hmm.
pencils and
Hmm.
ink on the cover. And so this Spidey, this one's my favorite. I might just get this for myself, honestly.
That's cool.
It's Spider-Man Jude on a Venom Prince. And if you guys have read the story, you know Prince. This is actually an issue number 4.
Hmm.
There's two on issue 5s. We have a very Western looking Jude St. Clair with a big James with a bullet hole in his forehead.
Hmm.
They're just so gorgeous. And then this is also an issue 5, half dead Jude, as I call him. But that gun, that smoking gun with his name on it is super cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love that Gilbert loves the story so much that these are all from his head. This was none of my meddling. This wasn't me like, hey, can you do a sketch cover of this, that, and the other? This is what he does at cons when there's downtime.
Oh, very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
he'll just sit and he'll draw.
Love the collaboration too.
Yeah, he does such a great job. Beautiful, beautiful. He also did agree to put the original art for the covers. And so he did the covers for issue 5 and issue 6 traditionally.
Hmm.
Um, And so these are 11 by 17 Bristol board. So these are also available in the add-on section. So we have a couple here. It just doesn't do it justice. Like you guys have to see this in person. Last campaign, he took a picture of himself holding it and it was it was super cute. He was just like, look what I did, you know. Yeah. But
Nice.
we have other artists involved. Of course, we have William Russell.
Hmm.
This one's the Sad Pancake. Everybody's getting this one with DJ Hall. We do have a tier where you can, if you like the idea of a sketch cover, but let's say you want, Lola Rodriguez on there, Laura, Lola's character, you can back a tier where he'll draw it for you. You get to pick your
Oh,
own
wow.
Path of the Pill Rider character, and he'll put it together for you. Lola, Lola, Lola.
How
And then he's
very
got a bunch of stuff.
thoughtful and inventive. And you
Hmm.
have riddles.
We do. Oh, I'm clicking off things too fast. All right, let me go down to riddles and short films. So,
Love your organization system here too,
thank you.
definitely.
I know Kickstarter made it so easy. I like how they did that because you just had to put sections and then scroll the entire time, and it's like I'm on my 7th Kickstarter. We have so many things. Um, it takes a while to get through all of it. So yes, so everybody, when you get a copy of Path of the Pale Rider, The back cover is a riddle.
Mm.
And if you solve the riddle, it takes you to places in the real world, like Facebook groups for people that solve the riddles. This one, if you solve this, you actually get something in the mail from a character. And we do utilize American Sign Language in the comic. It's mostly Jude St. Clair being sarcastic and calling people names, but
Mm.
there's a reason for it eventually, right? I mean, you'll get there, but it's one of his more charming traits. He's very sarcastic. I love this one. This is no riddle solving required. You just go on a scavenger hunt. You scan the QR codes. It's walking through my brain about what I think is entertaining and possibly pertaining to Path of the Pale Rider. Like you're going to see trailers for Westerns, trailers for zombie movies. You're going to see anime, The Matrix. But there's just funny stuff like He-Man singing Four Non-Blondes and the Swedish
Nice.
chef. Yeah, the Swedish chef making hot sauce. It's funny stuff in there too. But one of these will take you to a hidden video on YouTube. The
Ah,
only way to get to it is by scanning the correct code. And it's like you stumbled upon a video from that world trying to communicate something to you. So that was pretty cool. We have working phone numbers. You can call the phone number. It works. It's a message. You're not gonna call me in the middle of the night, I promise. Uh,
that is good. That is
yeah,
good.
you're like, hello? And I'm like, stop calling. No, it's not. That's not what happens. You hear a message, but you're calling an agency within Path of the Pale Rider. You gotta see it. You gotta hear it. And then the last one we did, this is a hidden website. So it we do short films. These are fan interactive. I'm actually overdue for one. I have plans. I just haven't created the space-time continuum to put it together. But I love these because the fans can interact in the way that they feel comfortable. So we've done things like you can be in the film if you're local
Hmm.
to me.
Hmm.
You can show up and we have like big set pieces. I've had people phone in answers. So this second one was like, I dressed up as a reporter and I went and interviewed people, fans, to ask them, what do you think broke death? And they could say whatever they wanted. And it was
Nice.
amazing, right? Side
Conspiracy
note,
theories.
right, exactly. Conspiracy theories in the apocalypse. What broke death? What do you think? So people could phone in and answer, and they're here in the video. This one's fun. If you watch it to the end, you can see me get run over by a car. It's amazing. This
I
one
hope
at the
you're okay. I hope
I'm
you're
just
all right.
fine. Yes,
Yes, okay, good.
I used to manage a fight coordination and stunt team back
I
in
remember
Michigan,
that.
right?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
that's how I learned how to do that safely. It's easier than you think. The third one we did, everybody sent me pictures of themselves as dead bodies. It was wonderful. And this last one we did, people sent me a creepy selfie and I put them through photo filters and I zombified about 40 people for the credits. It was great.
Nice,
So
nice.
it's just another layer. These are always fun, and it's usually things that we don't have time to talk about in the story. So, like Jude's family, one of his family members is undead, and they're dealing with this person in the house, right? And but it goes by very quick in the book. But
Hmm.
in this short film, we tackle it as this nuclear family. The father dies in the first 2 minutes. And
Hmm.
then how do they deal with that? The house was in just his name. Where do they go? They lose his income. He was helping with the kids, but he starts getting lost because he's forgetful and he starts to sundown. So at the end of the night, he starts getting loopy and eventually he gets violent. So how do they deal with that? Like, what's the progress look like? And eventually, you know, what happens to these
Hmm.
individuals? Where do they go? So it's just, a deep dive. So, I mean, people can just read the comic and be totally fulfilled with the story. But if you solve the riddles, you do, the short films, we have a choose your own adventure book.
Love
And
it.
it really just makes the experience that much more. Trying to find it. Here's the book, by the way. But here's
Nice.
our Choose Your Own Adventure book. It's a 60-page, um, semi-illustrated. It's a manga-sized book, and you just put on the hat and boots, and you get to explore the apocalyptic West. Um, I kill you off in the most gruesome and creative ways I can think of. But it's fun because you go back to where it tells you and you just try again. So yeah, we got lots of amazing stuff. We have retail tiers. You could put a full page ad in there. A bunch of really cool stuff. And if you don't find it here, it's probably in our add-ons. We got a huge add-on section. I got a ton of merch in there. I think I have t-shirts, but you can also get hoodies.
Mhm.
There's just a ton of stuff. So just take your time. I would say, you know, go peruse, see what you think, and give us a try.
Something for everyone, something for the whole family.
I think so. My kids are like, "Can we read the story?" I was like, "No, but you can wear the shirt."
Save it for when you're older. Save it for when you're older.
I don't.
Yeah.
They're like 7 and 11, so maybe not 7 and 11-year-olds, but they
Yeah.
can have shirts. I make shirts in all sizes.
Yeah. I'm just picturing the brainstorming session, what that must be like for you to come up with these things and then keep expanding the creativity.
People dislike me because I'm like, "Hey, why don't we do this?" And they're like, "Lori, you really don't need to do that. You have enough." And I was like, "All right, well, I'll just make another t-shirt design."
Nice, nice.
But we're
If,
having fun. That's what
oh,
matters.
absolutely. Uh, if I am a listener and I want to see some of that, the listeners go to Kickstarter. Are there particular social media spaces where they might check out your
Yeah.
podcast and other such things?
Of course.
Mhm.
Well, the big account is on Facebook. That's where a lot of the followers are. There's a Facebook group that you can search called Path of the Pale Rider. That's where we do like the fun polls, and that group gets the first sneak peeks, and we play games in there. A lot of times, if I'm adding a super exclusive whatever to the Kickstarter, I drop it there first so
Mhm.
those people get the first dibs. That's kind of like that's where a lot of the fans are. So that's my suggestion for you. If you're not on Facebook, I'm also on Instagram, just Laurie Calcaterra. I'm on X, I'm Path Pale Rider. The same thing on Blue Sky, Path Pale Rider. I'm on TikTok, Path of the Pale Rider. I make videos, all sorts of kinds. Like I do silly stuff. I promote the art. I show off Gilbert's time lapse videos. I rebind books on there. So I do quite a bit of everything on that TikTok. It's entertaining. Where else? Blue Sky, TikTok,
Mhm.
Threads. I'm
Uh,
on Threads. I
YouTube
have a
channel.
website. I do have a YouTube channel. It's Laurie Calcaterra 360.
Hmm.
That's a great place because a lot of times I am podcasting during the week, multiple times a week. On Tuesdays, I have the Tuesday Morning Brew. That one's great. It's a long form show, so it's 2 hours where I deep dive with a creator. And so indie creators like myself, but I've had actors, um, novelists. I had a guy that made nerdy furniture. That was super fun. So he
Cool.
was making
Cool.
like cabinets to store comic books, and but he was like inlay all sorts of designs, and he would like hide things in it. It was super cool. What else? I had a ventriloquist on once. That was
Wow.
awesome. Musicians, there's a ton of people that come on that show all the time. And so that's Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wednesdays, I host what's called Any One World Showcase.
Hmm.
Um, the publishing company that publishes our graphic novels, our trade paperbacks, is in the UK, and they're called ASAP Imagination. And they have another branch that's called Any One, the letter N, the letter E, the number one world. So anyone can be in there, in other words, right? And
Hmm.
so that's people like myself where we're independently publishing, but it's a gathering place for all of us. So there's comic books, there's novels, novellas, kids books. They have so many things on that site. It's great. They just announced that they're going into like movie and animation production.
Nice,
It's
nice.
it's wild. It's wild to see them grow because it's happening so fast. So Wednesdays at 11 a.m., I host another show where I interview those creators specifically, the ones
Mm.
part of any one. Every other Friday, I have this other crazy show called Killer Karen. I put on a blonde wig, I
Uh-huh.
take on the Karen personality, and I interview creators, but I hate them all. So it's like extreme podcasting, I guess. I don't know.
Nice.
It's an intentional dumpster fire.
Nice. I like that. I like that.
It's entertaining, but it's not for everybody. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
That's sort of your between two ferns.
it's exactly what it is with the
Love it.
blonde wig.
Love it. Love it. The incredible inventiveness and originality of Hollywood. Yes, absolutely.
Right. And so, I mean, in closing, I just want to say, if you like those things that I mentioned, Fallout, Book of Eli, Spaghetti Westerns, and Cocaine Bear, come give us a shot. I
Mhm,
mean, you're gonna
mhm.
have a good time. You won't be disappointed in where the story is going. Um, and if if Westerns and horror isn't your thing, there's a ton of indie creators on Kickstarter, on Indiegogo, on Fund My Comic right now that are looking for an audience like you. So there's a ton of creatives out there looking for help to get their project off the ground.
Cool, cool. Absolutely. And I believe Path of the Pale Rider was the first Kickstarter I ever backed.
Is it
So
really?
I
I'm
believe
so
so.
honored.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, glad to share about it. Glad to have you back anytime. And always a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you. And thank you again for having me on the show. I appreciate it.